Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No.
I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo. Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to Hot Mic. Thanks for joining us however you are. WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City. Hello to everybody in South Dakota. Also streaming on Inforum.com. It is the 16th day of June in the year 2026. I have to double check that every single time because I can't believe we're at this point of the summer already. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo today and for the rest of the week. He has got some much-deserved time off he is taking right now. He'll be back with us next week. But in the meantime, you're stuck with me for the next, what are we at now, Tuesday, 4 days, if my math is right. It's going to be a good week. Hope you enjoyed your first night without any NBA or NHL playoff games going on. In quite some time, I should say. It was still a pretty busy day. We'll get to that in just a second. Kind of turned ugly yesterday weather-wise. I just had a conversation with our guy Robert Pointer as he's getting ready for the 11 o'clock news. Sounds like today may be okay. We'll see about the rest of the week. Could be a little chilly and some overcast skies. He'll tell you more when the news comes on later on today. Now, despite no championship series going on in the NBA and the NHL, it was still a pretty busy Monday, a newsy Monday, if you will, which I guess at this point is becoming the norm at the end of June. I was under the mindset that June and July in the sports world was supposed to be radio silent, but that is definitely not the case because there is one story that is just dominating the news cycle right now, especially in college football. And I can't open up any social media platform without hearing about it. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. We'll touch on it more here this morning to kick things off on this Tuesday morning edition of Hot Mic. And that's Texas Tech quarterback Brandon Sorsby and this gambling saga that has been drawn on for the last couple of months now. I was under the impression that we would have an opportunity to get our heads above water for 2 seconds after the injunction was granted saying that he is eligible to play for the upcoming season. That drew plenty of pushback, there's no doubt, but I thought we had a resolution of some sort to a break for a little bit. But no. That's not how college football works in the slightest. So, as we told you on the show yesterday, and if you missed it, Ross Dellinger from Yahoo Sports first reported that the Big 12 Conference filed a 47-page complaint against Texas Tech, the Texas Attorney General, also the system's chancellor, the school president, and the athletic director, and they were seeking a declaratory judgment and a preliminary injunction to enforce the conference bylaws. Okay, if you don't have a law degree like I don't, what does that all mean? The way I understand it, the Big 12 essentially all came together, which is a rarity these days, and said, we want to reprimand Texas Tech like we are legally allowed to do. The complaint stated that there would potentially be monetary sanctions, meaning they would have to pay money, Texas Tech would, and or one or the other or both, potentially a ban in playing in the Big 12 championship game if Sorsby plays for the Red Raiders this upcoming season. Now, in the complaint that they filed, the Big 12 cited reputational harm and irreparable damage to public and member trust if Sorsby were to play, and they were worried that Texas Tech would take a spot from another school in the league championship game with playing a QB that has acted contrary to conference values. That makes sense. The Big 12 essentially saying we don't want Texas Tech to have a spot in the Big 12 championship if Sorsby is playing and all this stuff happened, which, oh, by the way, is a cardinal sin when it comes to not just college football, but for any sport. Professional, college, you name it. You can't bet like we've reported on, or it's been reported on widely. You can't bet on your own team while you're on the team. Should just not bet if you're playing sports in general. Should just leave that world alone because it can get dicey. Case in point, Brendan Sorsby. But what they were saying is we don't want Texas Tech to take a spot in the championship if Sorsby is playing and another team is deserving. That's going to bring up a whole logistical nightmare. This whole season was going to bring up a whole logistical nightmare if Sorsby was around. But that we continue on with this story because there was a lot of updates yesterday. There was a quote in the filing that I thought was interesting. In an industry that rarely agrees on anything, there is finally an issue that everyone seems to agree on, other than the Texas Tech University and the Texas Attorney General. And it goes on to say, universities should not field players who have bet on their own team's games in college athletics. I agree. That first part, though, I definitely agree with. In an industry that rarely agrees on anything, there is finally an issue that everyone seems to agree on. Now, this continued to blow up yesterday and just snowballed all throughout the day. It got support from everywhere. Several state attorney generals came out and said, hey, we agree with the Big 12 on this. Most of the Big 12, pretty much all the Big 12 except Texas Tech was on board with this. And it got to the point at about 8 o'clock yesterday where I'm not sure if Texas Tech sat down with Sorsby and had a conversation and said, hey, this isn't looking good. It's going to come down on not just you, but on the university and especially on this football program. I don't know if that conversation was had or if Brendan Sorsby, in his own conscience and his own mind there, said, you know what, screw it. Too much is happening. I'm out. I'm leaving this. But that's what happened. Sorsby announced last night that he is going to apply for the NFL supplemental draft. Kind of had to at this point because the league, the NCAA, in this complaint, in this filing, they wanted answers by the start of the season. If we were to wait until that point, if Sorsby were to wait until that point and it not work out his way, then he's stuck in between a rock and a hard place. His only lifeline was the NFL supplemental draft, which has an entry deadline of next Monday. So he could not afford to wait and see what the outcome could be by the start of the season. He had to think quickly, and his decision was to move on. Now, to put this in perspective, this is pretty unprecedented stuff. How often are you tuned in to the supplemental draft in the NFL? I can tell you I'm not. I don't remember much of the supplemental draft. I know there's been some big names in it over the years. First one was back in 1977. We haven't had a supplemental draft since 2019. This is a once-in-a-blue moon type of situation. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with the supplemental draft, I had to look it up because I'm not an expert on the NFL supplemental draft. But I was doing some reading on this, and just to give you an update on how this process goes about, ESPN has an article up just kind of explaining the details of it. The order for the supplemental draft differs from the regular spring draft. The supplemental draft order is divided into 3 groups. Teams with 6 or fewer wins the previous season, the remaining non-playoff teams after that, and then 14 playoff teams after that. The order within each group is randomly selected, and if a team is interested in selecting a player, it bids one of its draft picks for the following year on that player. and the team that submits the highest pick is granted that player, forfeiting the corresponding pick in next spring's draft. And this supplemental draft lasts 7 rounds. I don't quite understand how that works, considering, to my knowledge, there's one guy in the deal as of right now. Did all of that make sense? Essentially, Sorsby's going to go into the supplemental draft. If an NFL team wants him, well, then they got to wager an actual draft pick that they would have in the upcoming spring. Now, the question is, what NFL team wants to take a chance on this guy? Don't get me wrong, in this instance, Brendan Sorsby is still a very good quarterback. I think if he were to play out this college football season to what the expectations were of him, he would probably be one of, if not the top quarterback prospect in next year's draft. There's a reason why Texas Tech was planning or was starting to pay him $5 to $6 million to play for the Red Raiders this season. But what NFL team wants to take a chance on a publicity nightmare like this is? I feel if there's one thing we know about the NFL, it's that it's a finicky group. Case in point, Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado in that historic draft slide that he had not too long ago. That was because he was just arrogant. There wasn't off-field issues that were jeopardizing the integrity of the game, if I'm remembering the story correctly. It was just because he was a little full of himself, and they pushed him all the way down to, what did he get drafted, the 5th round? This is actually something that's a pretty big deal. Brendan Sorsby put college football in jeopardy for the last couple of years, in my opinion. We had Jeff on the show yesterday talk about insider information. That's a big no-no. I feel like I was taught in elementary school to be scared of gambling on a team you played for. Be scared of gambling on college athletics, especially if you're playing in the thing. But that's what he was doing. Now, in this same conversation, just to play devil's advocate a little bit here, for me, I somewhat understand where Texas Tech is coming from in all this situation. If you've been following along, they've been very active in social media. They posted a 20-minute podcast, essentially, on their stance on the situation. They've been very out front with the media on what their thoughts are. They don't think they're in the wrong with any of this situation. I understand in a sense that, from what I understand, is that all of Sorsby's actions took place prior to him coming to Texas Tech, when he was at Indiana and when he was at Cincinnati. Well, where are they in this whole conversation, first of all? Why isn't Indiana or Cincinnati? We know for sure he was betting on Indiana while he was on Indiana to start his college football career. Why aren't they in this conversation at all? Why is it all on Texas Tech? Texas Tech has come out and said, hey, we're trying to help him with this mental health situation. We're trying to help him with this gambling addiction. That's great. Appreciate that. Always, if you need help, need support, I'm glad there's resources out there, and Texas Tech is providing them for Sorsby. But that does not excuse the prior actions. I get he's young. He's a kid. Early 20s. I still think of myself as a kid. But still, in the same sense, you're old enough to know what is right and what is wrong. And what he was doing was wrong. And for Texas Tech, in the same breath of this conversation, where I understand where they're coming from, they're just hoping to have a quarterback. They're trying to do everything they can to have a quarterback. But at some point, there's got to be accountability. You got to put the right hand up and say, hey, yeah, I understand. We would love to have him play for us, but we know he broke the rules. It's a big no-no. It's the cardinal sin of the sport, and we shouldn't let him play. We're going to continue to help him out in any way that we can, but we understand that this is not the case. But that's not the route they decided to take. I also understand why Texas Tech had so much pushback on this situation. They've put millions upon millions upon millions of dollars into this football program to try to boost them to the top of the FBS and make them a national championship contender. $5 to $6 million was going to Brendan Sorsby. Now he's gone. They don't really have a quarterback. Will Hammond, I believe, is their guy. He's coming off of an ACL injury. I think he's going to miss the first couple of games. Yeah, you're going to fight hard to keep the guy who's one of the best quarterbacks in college football. They want him in there somehow. So I understand that point for Texas Tech. My other closing thoughts on this, we'll move on. We'll touch more on this later on this morning. I think it's great that we finally have an issue that's something people agree on. Props to the Big 12 for coming together and standing up to something, and we finally have a rule that is firm. We're going to enforce this. 2 thumbs up. Fantastic. I'm glad we got something there, because if this moves on and Sorsby plays in this upcoming season, that sets a massive precedent that nobody wants to walk down. And then we would have a full college football season where everybody's asking, well, what about this? Well, what about Sorsby? What about Texas Tech? Now we don't have that. So I'm glad someone was able to stand up. I'm also frustrated. As a college football fan, I'm going to get on my soapbox and say this. Can we not just... Can everybody just be on their best behavior for a little bit? Can we not try to bend the rules all the time? Can we not try to, this is okay, but this is not okay? Can we just play football, play college sports? Can we not have all this hoopla all around? Like I said earlier, I feel like if you want to be a college football fan, you have to take out a second degree in law. If I knew this was going to be the case, I would have paid attention more in law class in college, so I can understand all these articles that are coming out and all the jargon that is thrown in there. It's just a mess. It's just a mess. It's been a mess for a while. But that is the latest on the Brendan Sorsby Texas Tech situation as of right now. Now the question is, well, first of all, when is the supplemental draft? Last I saw, they don't have it scheduled as of yet, which is not a surprise. But that's where we stand right now. And what team is going to take a chance on this guy and have him be their potential quarterback for the future moving forward? That is the next steps, and we'll see as we come on. So, in some lighter news, as we continue on this Tuesday morning, let's talk about some baseball before we go into our first break this morning. Of course, the MLB, a place in a world where there has never been any controversy or any issues, but I digress. The Minnesota Twins back in action last night. Quick turnaround for them after their series with the Cardinals. Didn't have the opportunity to touch on it yesterday, but they were able to get a series win, their first one since the beginning of June. Now, they were down in Texas yesterday to open up this road series, and it was off to a hot start. Minnesota's been really swinging a hot bat and playing the long ball so well. Top of the first inning, Josh Bell with a nice little golf swing, 3-run homer, and Minnesota has the lead. But Rangers stud, Jock Peterson. I've always been a big Jock Peterson guy. 2-run home run. That'll make it 3-2 in the bottom of the third. But the long ball would continue for the Minnesota Twins. Byron Buxton with a solo shot. That would extend the lead, and that would help Minnesota hold on to this 4-2 win against Texas to open up the series. Twins are now 34-40 on the season. Mike Paredes went 4 2/3 yesterday, gave up 4 hits, 2 earned runs, had 2 strikeouts. Mackenzie Gore, despite giving up 4 runs, was pretty solid for the Rangers, going 7 innings and 10 strikeouts. A couple more home runs belted. What do they have, 8 combined in the series against the Cardinals, and now they tack on a couple of more here. This is a Twins team that is no stranger to the long ball. That's for sure. Now, there's one story out of this game yesterday to mention. Kyler Fedko made his major league debut yesterday. And what we didn't talk about, one of the stories out of the weekend, was that Orlando Arcia was designated for assignment to make room on the 40-man roster. So we'll see what happens to him. This is an updated look at the American League Central standings. Somehow the White Sox are at the top of this thing. How did that happen? I'll admit, once the NBA and NHL playoffs are going, I don't follow a ton with the Twins, but now that we're in the late part of June going into July, now I'll start to pay attention a little bit more. Twins are in the third spot, 6 games back. Fedko went 0 for 4 in his MLB debut, by the way. So the second game of the series coming up at 7:05. Our pitching matchup tonight is Zebby Matthews against Kumar Rocker. I was a big Kumar Rocker fan when he came out of college. Where'd he go, Vanderbilt? Did really well in the College World Series, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think his big league career has been all that great, but we'll see tonight as he goes up against Zebby Matthews in Game 2 of this series. All right. Due for a break. Let's hop into that. We got a loaded lineup today of guests joining us on this Tuesday morning. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, Mike McFeely will join us, talk about everything going on. We'll touch on this Sorsby case a little bit more, get his thoughts on the New York Knicks and their NBA championship win. Also some Bison stories in there as well. To start hour number 2, we're talking about the Bell Bank Red River Amateur Championship. Our guy, Chris Howell, Goose, will join us at 10 o'clock. He is the head golf professional at the Moorhead Country Club, the home course of the Bell Bank Red River Am, coming up in 11 days now. He will join us at 10 o'clock. And joining us, is Chris Larson, the general manager of the Moorhead Country Club. We'll give you a full preview of what to expect on the Bell Bank Red River Am in hour number 2. And then to help wrap up the show today, it is the much anticipated return of Logan Campbell, now lead sports anchor at WFMY in Greensboro, North Carolina. She will join us and chat about her big weekend covering the Carolina Hurricanes out in Las Vegas and their Stanley Cup clinching win to win their second franchise title in the last 20 years. So Logan will join us at 10:35. Let's take a break. When we come back, you know me, I'm not a huge soccer guy, but World Cup's getting pretty interesting right now. We'll chat about the latest headlines on the other side. Back on this sunny Tuesday morning. Appreciate you for joining us. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo this week. Mike McFeely from the Forum joining us in about 10 minutes' time. All right, so we got the World Cup going on right now. I hear Team USA is 1-0. USA, USA, USA. Congratulations on their win last week. They're going to play again on Friday, so I'm looking forward to that. I'll be plugged in and tuned in and ready to watch that one. Now, if you know me, and I think I've talked about it the last couple of months when I made guest appearances on this show, I know nothing about the World Cup, and I was never my jam. But I do understand that it's one of the most popular sports and most popular events in the world. If there's two things I do know about the World Cup, it's that Spain is pretty good. I do that. And the other thing I know for sure about the World Cup is the fact that I don't know where Cape Verde is. I had to look that up. I figured it out. I figured it out. But somehow, these two teams, Spain and Cape Verde, were squaring off in their opening game of the World Cup last night. And the result was just shocking. I don't know how they did it. I don't know what they did, what kind of wizardry they put on the pitch. But Cape Verde was able to stonewall Spain for the entire match. It was unbelievable. Spain had possession in this match for 74% of the game. They outshot Cape Verde 27-7 and had a total of 7 shots on goal. Now, shots and shots on goal are a different category in this game. Found that out the hard way. You're seeing Cape Verde here making some ridiculous saves. They got a 40-year-old goalkeeper. There's not a lot of 40-year-olds that I know that are willing or able or capable of playing at this level in the World Cup. So tip of the cap to him. 0-0, a draw was the result. This is their group. Everybody in the group, Group H, has 1 point. So tip of the cap to Cape Verde for somehow holding true. If just looking at it, and I don't know for sure, but I think Spain is like supposed to hammer their way through Group H, but they've run into a roadblock. Now, being the technological savvy guy that I am, I went to everyone's favorite, AI, and asked to compare this outcome to an outcome that us lesser-minded soccer fans would understand. And it actually spit out some interesting things. It told me in a comparison that this was like Moorhead High School, their hockey program, skating to a tie with the Edmonton Oilers, and all their stars were on the ice. It also told me that this is like the Red Hawks holding the Dodgers to 0 runs in 9 innings. And finally, the other comparison it had for me, it's like a Division B North Dakota high school basketball team taking the Timberwolves to overtime. Now, I need someone to verify this. I have no idea if any of these are accurate, if we're getting a little far-fetched here, but that's what it told me. So that explains that this was a pretty big deal that happened between Spain and Cape Verde yesterday. I did not lead you wrong in our What to Watch segment yesterday, that's for sure. Had them in there. We got more World Cup games coming up tonight. It is to my understanding that the World Cup moved from 32 teams to 48 teams recently, and I guess an outcome like this makes it seem like it's not a horrible idea. So we'll keep you up to date on the World Cup as we continue on throughout the week. And, of course, Team USA is going to play on Friday. So looking forward to that. All right, let's take another break. When we come back, Mike McFeely from the Forum, will join us. A lot to chat about with him. This Tuesday morning edition of Hot Mike rolls on after this.
It's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Yeah. Mike's appearance on Hot Mike is brought to you by Sunset Lanes of Moorhead.
Here he is, Mike McFeely from the Forum, joining us as he does each and every Tuesday. His appearance brought to us by Sunset Lanes in Moorhead.
Yes, I have used my summer membership recently.
I feel like it's a prereq every time we open up this segment.
Last week, I can lose track of my weeks here, but yes, last week on one of those days when it was blowing 40 and 58 degrees, I stopped into Sunset Lanes and rolled a few games, and it was wonderful. So,
how'd you do? I should refrain from that. I know better than to.
It's fine.
Than to
I mean, it's whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I had one game over 200.
Oh,
not that I was counting.
That's some pretty.
And a couple other decent games, but it's just for fun, just for something to do.
Absolutely. Well, it's a good week to bowl right now. The weather hasn't really been cooperating recently for us golfers, so why not get inside? And what is it? $40 you can go.
$40 you can bowl all summer, and you can place all the bets you want on yourself as well. Just to get into the spirit of things.
Yeah.
We should start a contest on this program that I don't want to drag Sunset into this because I don't know how they feel about it, but I could go bowling like 3 games, then we could have bets on what I would roll.
Yeah, get some prop bets out there a little
absolutely.
Bit. Why not?
It seems to kind of be the theme of the world right now. Is just let me. I got to say this.
Okay.
I was listening to a local radio station that carries the Dan Patrick Show as I was driving in.
Yeah.
From my house. And Dan Patrick is a talented guy. Everybody knows who he is in the world of sports.
Yep.
Reasonable guy. It's not a personal insult what I'm about to say here, although it kind of is, I guess. So he has they're talking about Brendan Sorsby, and we can get into that in a second if you'd like. With all the news about him gambling and the addiction or alleged addiction, and the fact that he was trying to play at Texas Tech, and now the Big 12 swung its big stick and said, you ain't playing.
Right.
So Brendan Sorsby has now declared for the NFL supplemental draft, which means his college career is done.
Yes.
And Dan Patrick and his gang of Patrickettes, whatever they're called, were talking about this. And Dan Patrick went on a multiple-minute sermon about the dangers of gambling. Okay, the dangers of sports gambling, how this is going to be just the tip of the iceberg, and I'm paraphrasing here, the tip of the iceberg and what might be coming,
right? And
all the different. It's not just as simple as a guy saying, "I'm going to bet on my team," or "I'm going to bet against my team." There are ways, and you play. There are ways to subtly, affect the game.
Absolutely.
In addition to just throwing a pass 6 feet over somebody's head to keep it within the spread or whatever.
Right.
There is a million ways for a player, especially a starting quarterback, to affect the outcome of a game or the score of a game. So Dan Patrick goes on a multiple-minute sermon about how terrible gambling is and how there's going to be more scandals coming and how dangerous this is for young men because the 18 to 24-year-old men, and I think we all agree that there are people out there who are in grave danger because of the ease of gambling with the apps and all these things. So he goes, which everything he said I agreed with.
Right.
Okay, I'm not knocking his opinion. I agree 1,000% with that. And I've said it last week on Dom's show that the ease of sports gambling right now it's just going to lead down a bad path for
You're 2 clicks away from losing all your money.
Hundreds of thousands or millions of people. And, it's so easy to gamble right now. So he does this big sermon and wraps up with, parents, just, keep an eye on your kids and blah, blah, blah. Less than 3 minutes later,
I know where this is going.
Dan Patrick reads an ad for DraftKings and talks about the ease of using the app and all the great bets that are available right now in the World Cup.
Isn't it just awesome?
I sat in my pickup out in the parking lot of WDAY and I just went, I'm not surprised, I guess, because that's most national sports media these days are funded through advertising by these gambling apps because that's the only thing that's out there to sell anymore.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, they're making a gajillion dollars.
When they have all the money they can afford these advertisements.
So they're
going to put it everywhere.
Whether it's BetMGM or DraftKings or FanDuel. Again, I'm whatever. Yeah. I don't gamble myself. I don't bet. But I sat there in my pickup and just went, wow. I mean, that wasn't even
right.
There wasn't even like a segment as a cushion so you could forget that he just had a sermon about the evils of sports gambling and how everything in sports is going to heck because of sports gambling apps. It was within 3 minutes. He's reading an ad for DraftKings and encouraging people to get the app and gamble.
That speaks perfectly to where we're at right now and everything. It speaks perfectly to where we're at.
I have no reason to believe that Dan Patrick is a man of great, of not great character. It is what it is. It's the landscape that's out there. But it's like, wow, okay, that was okay.
Yeah,
I'm all right. That's where we are.
It's a wild deal.
These gambling apps, these gambling companies are funding. I mean, again, it used to be the FanDuel TV network.
Right.
ESPN literally has gambling shows. They have gambling shows.
Yes. And they've all done the same thing that you just mentioned with Dan Patrick. Speak on this case. And then you can see it right there on the logos. This show is brought to you by DraftKings.
I've been open about this. I think we're headed down a bad path, as I've said. I don't think it takes a genius to see that. I mean, I think this is the tip of the iceberg.
And it's not like Sorsby's going to an old time bookie, and doing it this way.
He's not going to Rocco at the corner bar and going, hey man, hey kid. Why don't you make sure you keep it within 15 points against Abilene Christian? Okay, Rocco.
Right.
No,
it's not one of those deals.
He's doing this. Okay. And anybody can do it.
And what was it, $90,000 or something like that?
9,000 bets, $90,000.
And the big thing I think that's really catching the attention is that when he was at Indiana, he was betting on the team that he is on, which is obviously a cardinal sin. That's a big no-no. You can't do that. Going back to this situation, and especially the new developments that happened yesterday, what do you make of yesterday? I think it's great that we finally have a collective group of people willing to stand up for something.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, obviously the NCAA had no teeth whatsoever, and so it took the Big 12 presidents and athletic directors to have a very high-powered law firm come up with this, asking for an injunction against Sorsby. Blah 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 blah. I don't understand all the legalese, but basically they made it impossible for him to play at Texas Tech, and so he and his agent just said, "We're out of here." The thing that I will not get over, though, and I'm sure that Texas Tech doesn't care because that's their image or that's what they want to be. But why didn't Texas Tech, when they first found out about this, just say, you're done?
Yes.
You're done. Move on.
Right.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
My theory to that is they don't really have a quarterback after Brendan Sorsby. The guy that they are going to have replace him is
if that's the
coming
case,
off an ACL injury.
If that's the case, so here's the positive from the standpoint of what the Big 12 did, is that finally somebody, I guess, looked out for somebody other than themselves.
Yes, right.
Right. So somebody saw the bigger picture.
Right.
The NCAA tried to stand up for the bigger picture, but the NCAA has no teeth. Mm-hmm. So the Big 12, which, by the way, includes David Cook now, former NDSU president at Iowa State, and Gene Taylor, the athletic director at Kansas State, former NDSU guy, who has been very outspoken in this situation. The Big 12 stood up and said, no.
Yeah.
This is not just about Kansas State or Iowa State or Kansas or whomever. This is about the integrity of the entire conference and dare I say, the entire sport of college football, that this man, he's not a kid, this man cannot play. But again, I read a column, and I can't remember who it's from, but we talk about the danger. Texas Tech, maybe that the reason was as simple as they didn't have anybody after Sorsby. I don't know. I'm not that much into Texas Tech football.
I'm sure there's a lot more to it.
I don't know that. But Texas Tech now, a few years away from what everybody believes is going to be this major realignment again in college football, and everybody seems to believe there's going to be 35, 40, 45 teams that designate themselves as the Super League or whatever you want to call it. Maybe Texas Tech is already in that group and they're not worried about it. But when that day comes, I don't know if memories are that short or that long or what, but Texas Tech has completely alienated everybody in college football with what they've done. From the president to the booster Cody Campbell, to the Attorney General of Texas, everybody is mad at Texas Tech and what they tried to do here. And so the column was, hey, it was John Wilner, by the way, San Jose Mercury News, now that I think about it. His premise basically was, well, way to go, because you've just pissed off everybody in college football. So whenever this day comes when the fracture comes, and everybody seems to believe it's coming within 5 years or so, Texas Tech now has no friends.
All over a guy who never played it down for them, by the way.
Correct. Yep.
And all of this...
And a guy who admitted to everything he did. It wasn't, it wasn't like it was a question. It wasn't like it was like, well, maybe he... No, he says he gambled. And part of it, and there's been some pushback out there that's like, well, did he concoct this story about addiction so that so he could be eligible for... I don't know. I'm not going down that road. But there's people out there that are saying, oh, he's not, he's not addicted. He just said he was so he could get some sympathy. I'm not saying that. Okay. Others are saying that. And so it's just like the whole thing was just dirty and sordid. And again, the part that, like, Cody Campbell is on the Texas Tech Board of Trustees or something, but like who appointed this guy as anything? Does the president or AD, at some point the president or AD in the real world should say, Cody, shut up. Right. You're not helping. Right. But because he's a billionaire who's funding everything in terms of the NIL and all that, like they can't say that. They can't tell him to take a hike because he'll say, well, okay, to heck with you, then I'm out.
Instead, the president, the AD, the coaches, the athletic director, and others put out a 22-minute video, trying to support their claim in this situation.
But they didn't say anything.
It was all word salad.
It's like, yes, up, now, down, football, good. What did they say?
Right.
Nothing.
Really nothing in that 22-minute video except hurting their cause even more looking back on it now. Where I'm lost, why isn't Indiana and Cincinnati thrown in this conversation with Texas Tech? Because this was all happening when he was a part of their programs. And
right.
I
Because
imagine they had to have some sort of idea.
Well, and the bets were made when he was at Indiana, I assume,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. On his own team there. Why aren't they in the conversation of all this stuff? That's where I'm.
Yep. I don't know, but Texas Tech is the villain here, and it's just so dirty and just so gross.
Do you think any NFL team takes a chance on Sorsby?
The way it works, and I'm not like some sort of expert guru on the NFL supplemental draft, but the bare minimum I understand is that if a team takes him in, say, the second round of the supplemental draft, then they have to give up the next year's second round pick in the regular draft. So he's toxic, man.
Right.
I mean, it's not as simple as like he's going to be. Is he that good? I don't know.
So
I mean,
there's a reason why they were expecting to pay him $5 to $6 million. I think if he would have gone on throughout this season and played up to his expectation, he probably would have been one of, if not the top quarterback prospect in next year's draft. So he's a pretty big deal.
It is a deep quarterback pool.
Yes, it is
as well. So that would, if you want to look at it logically, if you're a team. I mean, it's going to be a super deep quarterback draft, and so do you need to spend
That's a very good point.
Quarterback pick on the supplemental draft unless you just absolutely believe this guy is a can't miss.
Right.
Number one. Tom Brady didn't go in the first round, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
I mean, and no quarterback is that.
Right.
No quarterback is a can't miss.
Good point.
I mean,
it's a good point. And now he's got all this baggage he's got to deal with essentially the rest of his playing career.
And so that's, if you're an NFL team, I mean.
Do you want to handle that?
Do you want it? Right. I mean, there's been some pretty toxic players out there. The NFL is a lot different than college football.
Yes.
We don't necessarily hold pro athletes to the same standard we allegedly hold college athletes to. There are quarterbacks, Michael Vick, Deshaun Watson. There's plenty of guys that have issues.
Yep.
But I don't know, gambling is a whole different deal, though.
It is.
Gambling on your own team is a
huge no. I made the point at the beginning of the show how the NFL treated Shedeur Sanders, and there wasn't off the field issues jeopardizing the integrity of the game. It was just that he was a little full of himself, and they made him go down deep in the draft. So I have a feeling the lease is getting shorter on instances of off field stuff for these players, but only time will tell.
But if he can play. It doesn't matter.
That's fair. That's the other flip side
of this. If there's one thing that has been proven in America and in professional sports leagues is if you can play, a lot can be forgiven.
Yes.
If you can help a team win games.
Right. He's got a lot to put the blinders on and look past throughout the rest of his career.
Kobe Bryant.
That's fair. That's
Two words,
a good point.
Kobe Bryant.
That's a good point. That is a good point. All right, let's take a break. Mike McFeely joining us. His conversation brought to us by Sunset Lanes out in Moorhead. A lot more to chat on with Mike when we come back on the other side, talk a little basketball and some other NDSU news here on this Tuesday morning. That's coming up on Hot Mike. Welcome back to Hot Mike on this Tuesday morning. Mike McFeely joining us as he does each and every week at this time. His appearance brought to us by Sunset Lanes in Moorhead. Question for you. Did you party it up in the streets this weekend when the Knicks won the NBA championship?
Why would I do that?
I don't know. Aren't you a big Knicks guy?
No.
I love your segment, by the way, the other week calling out Dom on his Knicks fandom. That was hilarious.
I didn't mean for it to be mean-spirited, but it's like, wait a second. What?
It's true.
On,
it's a good point. It's all fair points.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. But
I don't see any Knicks gear around the studio here.
I live in a Boston Celtics household.
That's right.
My wife is a massive Celtics fan, and so not only did we not celebrate the Knicks championship, we are cursing the Knicks championship. I personally, I think it's a great story.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I cannot say that publicly or somewhere where my wife might hear it, and she will not hear it. With all due respect to Dom and yourself, she doesn't watch the show.
A rarity.
Yeah, I know one of the few people in town who does not watch the show.
I can't believe it.
By the way, I had another guy come up to me the other day and say that he bought a membership at Sunset because he heard me on this show talk about it.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so that's 2 now. So
there we go.
You're welcome. Yeah, no, I think it's a great story, and I've only been to New York a handful of times, but it is I find it hard to believe there's a better city in the world. Maybe, I guess, London or Paris, maybe, I don't know. But I find it hard to believe that there's a greater city in the world than New York City. And the energy and just the vibe in New York City is always so cool.
Yeah.
And the Knicks are the Knicks are a big part of New York City.
Right.
And I was giving Dom, crap because the Yankees and the Giants are sort of the hoity-toity. The Knicks aren't necessarily that. The Knicks are everybody's team in New York City. I understand that. The Brooklyn Nets are a sideshow. Nobody cares. And so to see that, if you get past the celebrity stuff and it's all the glitterati sitting courtside and all the bandwagon BS fans, if you get past that, New York City is the basketball mecca of the world. I mean, the whole history of basketball, obviously it started in Massachusetts, but the center of the universe in basketball, college basketball, pro basketball, forever in this country has been New York City.
Yep.
From the playgrounds to the universities to all these people who were forged in the crucible of New York City basketball. It's really cool.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and so to see the Knicks win is fine with me. It's going to be one hell of a parade on Thursday.
Oh, tell me about it.
It's going to be something. I'm not a religious guy, but I pray that there's nothing going on because it's going to be it's going to be something else in New York City on Thursday when they have the parade. I assume they're going to go down the Canyon of Heroes, which is down in Lower Manhattan. If you've ever seen the old black and white pictures of Charles Lindbergh or the Apollo astronauts getting the ticker tape parades, part of it is going down what they call the Canyon of Heroes. You can go and see it now. You can see why it's so cool because it's these huge buildings and a tiny, narrow little street, and people threw ticker tape out the windows for American heroes that came back.
Yep.
I assume they're going to go down that street, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't mind it. It's a great story. And they were a great team. I mean, there are very few people who, when the playoffs started, picked the Knicks to win the championship.
I was not one of them.
No,
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
they played. This is the cliched as all get out, but they played as the best team, and they all knew their roles.
Yep.
And the sum was greater than the parts, or whatever that cliche is. And Jalen Brunson is incredible. He's the straw that stirs the drink, to steal another cliche from New York City. But all the pieces around him fit perfectly, and it was the epitome of team basketball. I think it's great.
Absolutely.
I think it's great.
As a fair weather guy like myself, when it comes to teams that are really not the Timberwolves, it was easy to get invested into this story and cheer for the Knicks.
Yes.
Going up against Spurs.
And if you guys could do me a favor and make sure that this segment does not get to my wife's phone, I would greatly appreciate it.
So what you're saying is leave it off the internet after we're done here.
No,
This is a one and done.
I like having it out there to promote everything.
Yes.
But just block her phone.
Okay.
I'll give you her number off.
We'll
the
get
air.
we got a great IT team. We got a great IT team.
Has a crack IT team.
Yes.
They can block it from her phone so she never finds out I just said what I just said.
We'll get them on that real quick. We'll get them on that shortly.
Otherwise,
hopefully, the Boston, they can
week.
get Giannis, and you guys are right into the conversation.
Giannis is going to Minneapolis, right?
I don't know. I don't know. Do we want him here anymore?
I don't know.
We'll see. I appreciate you coming around and joining us here this morning. Mike McFeely from the Forum joining us on this Tuesday morning. Conversation brought to us by Sunset Lanes. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you next week.
Yes.
All righty. Good deal. Mike McFeely on this Tuesday morning. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're chatting some golf. Chris Howell from the Moorhead Country Club joining us to preview the Bell Bank Red River Am that's coming up next week already. We'll chat about that tournament up next on Hot Mic.
This is Hot Mic.
Hot Mic.
On the networks of WDAY.
WDAY.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Back for hour number 2 on this Tuesday morning. Big thank you to Mike McFeely for joining us. Now we can chat about some golf, something I'm really excited about, and I can't believe it already, but the countdown is at 11 days. We are 11 days away from the Bell Bank Red River Amateur Championship at the Moorhead Country Club. The tournament is the 26th through the 28th. We will have all the action for you, televised on WDAY Extra over those 3 days. And happy to be joined by Chris Howell, the head golf pro over at Moorhead Country Club. I feel like it's been you were just in here talking about this.
It wasn't that long ago, yeah. We were talking more Moorhead Country Club stuff, and I think it was... Gosh, is it right before the PGA Championship?
I think it was right before a major.
And it's major coming up this weekend. I think
we'll get into that.
The timing.
Yeah, we'll get into that in just a second. Well, it's great to see you. I haven't seen you in a while, so it's great to catch up. I can't believe we're 11 days out from this thing already. Can you believe that?
You know, it's later on the calendar, but somehow it seems like it came faster.
I agree.
I don't know if it was that spring was kind of weird, so it feels like we didn't have a spring, and now it's just bang. Golf season's upon us. The Bell Bank Red River Am's now here, so it came quick.
I know, just out of nowhere. Yep. Last year was such a fantastic tournament. We'll talk about that in a second. Really looking forward to this year. So a month ago when we had you on, kind of the preliminary preview, what's the update on what you can share on some of the most recent news that we can share on this big tournament coming up?
I mean, well, field's full.
Yeah,
and it's
that's
deep,
great.
Like super deep. And then the thing we're most excited about is the ladies field's at 48 players. It's by far the biggest it's been, right? I think we were at like 32, 33 last year, and added 50% more. So super excited about how much that's grown in the few years.
Is there a reason for this? You think? Is there been a factor?
Word of mouth.
Yeah. Okay.
Word of mouth. So almost every St. Thomas girl comes and plays now. We get most of the UND girls, most of the NDSU. So it's kind of hit the Summit League and traveling a little bit into Minnesota. And I think next year will be the big year where we really draw a good ladies crowd.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's one of those deals where someone plays in a tournament like they did last year, and then they go and tell all their friends, hey, you might want to come check this out.
Totally.
Because it's a great tournament. It's fantastic.
I mean, we try to make it as tour-like as we can, right? A couple of Jumbotrons out there, live TV. That's just nothing you get. Even in a college event, an amateur event, it's very unique to what we're doing. So I think it gets people excited. Gets them really excited to play something like that.
As a golf fan, and I'll say this as a golf fan and not someone who's working on the broadcast, just being there, and even in years previous, viewing this on TV, which is a rarity in the game of golf. You don't get a lot of amateur tournaments that are on TV. How much has that changed this tournament over the last couple of years, in your opinion?
Well, it elevates it.
Yeah.
Maybe not... I think about maybe the high school player, the junior, senior in high school that maybe is committed, maybe hasn't committed, and if they can have a good event and it's broadcasted against a strong field, well, here's my resume now, coaches. Maybe check out what I did at this event.
Right. Everybody's looking for highlight tapes these days.
They are.
Yeah.
It's just we can reach anywhere in the world with what you guys are doing on your broadcast, so it's awesome for these kids to be able to be out there on TV.
It's a super cool deal. Not just the play, which is phenomenal play, but the course setup. You see the alley there on the backside, and it's just a unique experience if you're going to watch it in person or on TV. It's super cool. So you mentioned the field is full.
Field's full.
We're good there.
Yep.
Are there some names that have entered into this field that have been like, wow, I can't believe we got them?
Yeah, I gotta pull it up.
I know I'm putting you on the spot on that one.
I gotta find it. I think we just, we try to highlight, the one he called me actually asking about it because it's the same time as the North Dakota stroke play. I think the cat's probably been out of the bag, but Andy Doden is going to make his return. He's making his return to amateur golf and playing competitive golf. We're so excited to have him playing in it.
Wow. What was that conversation like? He reached out to you, and of course you can come out of this thing.
He called and asked about the timing, because he and his son, Graham, I believe, were both talking about going to play the stroke play, and he's like, I go where Graham goes. He said, the mid-am is now out. He's like, I'm probably not a USAM guy. I'm a mid-am guy. He's like, but what about the Red River Am? I was like, we would love to have you. We'd be so excited to have you.
Well, absolutely.
That's a great name to have playing our event. Past champion, and one of, if not the best amateur careers out of our area.
Okay, so looking forward to that return coming up in 11 days' time. That's going to be exciting. I was looking through the field list for this year as well, and a lot of returning names that we saw last year in last year's tournament. Both on the boys and the girls' side. It just seems like the level of player, especially in this area, just continues to get so much better, and they want to be a part of this.
They do. Even looking at the high school scores this what was it, 2 weeks ago? We had the state championship in Colby Corner. We was just a couple over at Oxbow in brutal conditions.
Yeah.
Which
windy and hot.
Just brutal. Yeah. Riker Grenacher played well. Mm-hmm. And then I looked at the Class B scores out in Carrington.
Oh,
and,
almost even better. Yeah.
Right? Like 600 pars leading at day one.
Unreal.
I grew up as a Class B kid, and if you shot like 74, 75, you're good chance to be in the top 10 to be all state, and you are not sniffing the leaderboard in that instance
no
this year.
way.
So
when I played in high school, that was not even close to being in the picture. And now to see that that's becoming the norm,
right?
Well, and that just talks about the growth of the game. And I know you have, Dom, and talked about this ad nauseum in recent years. Just every year, it just continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm assuming you're seeing that at the country club, right?
We are. We're seeing our junior program's full. 145 kids this year, all age groups from 4 to 18. It's packed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's a great sign.
I ducked out on junior golf to come here today. So
he can live without you for a little bit. That's all right.
The groups that are going right now, they just need a little bit. It's varsity boys, varsity girls. They're
fine. Yeah, they're fine. They got better swings than all the people I know.
Yep, it's organized practice for the most part.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's a good deal. Well, it's great to hear that things are going well. You mentioned that this tournament is back a week in June.
Yep.
Of course, Father's Day being a part of that, moving back in the calendar. Has that helped? Has that hindered a little bit?
I don't think it's hindered at all. With it being on TV, we gotta stay away from the U.S. Open.
Right. Yep.
We're not gonna have very many eyeballs for the same week as the U.S. Open, and the tricky part is the earlier you get in June, the more I feel like you deal with bad weather.
Yes.
Right. So when we were looking at the calendar, do we go forward or do we go backwards? Made sense to go backwards just to try to give ourselves 2 more weeks to have better weather.
Like last year, it was a great tournament, and I want to get your thoughts on last year's tournament. But it was a little warm. We had that tornado come in, but it really didn't impact play. We were able to get everything in on time, which is great. Knock on wood, hoping for clean skies coming up next week.
Clear skies would be great.
That would be great. But you're right. Once you get a little bit later on, hopefully the weather corresponds a little bit more. Tell me about last year. Your takeaway from last year's tournament. I know it's in the past now, but it was my first taste of it in person, and I thought it was phenomenal.
It was fantastic. Well, one as a viewer point, like you guys as WDAY get a little bit better and a little bit better every year.
I appreciate that.
The broadcast is so smooth and seamless.
Yeah, I think we're starting to figure it all out now. We're getting our gears turning.
And I don't think anybody has any idea what Stacy and Mike and his crew are doing in the van off of hole 18 and trying to get things to work.
Yep.
So hats off to you guys and how good and seamless that broadcast has been. But as for the event, God, it was good golf. Ryan Petrie at 10 under par, Catherine Van Aragon under par for the week.
Right.
Just unbelievable golf being played.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you mentioned Petrie, who just wrapped up his career at North Dakota State. Phenomenal year for them. Set the course record last year.
Yeah, 64.
And was it the year before that Nate
Pearl shot 65?
Yeah, he said it there too. Is that something you're hoping for, low scores, or are you hoping for a little bit more of a challenge come next week?
I mean, both.
Yeah.
Not a lot of other people were near 64. I think I'd have to look. Maybe the next best score the entire week was 68.
Okay.
So he was
about right.
He was playing a different level of golf. We were actually looking at the results yesterday in our committee meeting, and there were only 6 other players within 10 shots of the lead at the end of the week. Right. So he was 10 under. The top, got to like top 6 and ties were 1 under or better, and then everybody else was 11 shots or farther off the lead. So he was golfing his ball really well last year.
Yes, he was. Yep. And I think that makes for a great tournament. There was drama down to the final day with that last grouping that he was in. Him and Parker Edens were going to it down the stretch. If a course can reward a golfer for playing their best golf, that's perfect.
Exactly.
But if it can also be challenging for those that maybe don't bring their A game, that's a win.
Yeah. I mean, you get it off our fairways. Our rough's going to be thick and heavy, and then our greens are going to be firm. They're going to be tough to hold and get it close to the hole.
How's the course conditions right now?
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's in really, really good shape.
Are you guys blowing up the rough a little bit more, or fairways, greens faster? Is that anything at all?
I mean, greens will definitely be faster than our normal daily play. It's tough to get them to like a crazy speed because there's enough undulation. If you get it up above the hole, then it becomes unfair. So we'll probably try to push them and stress them out a little bit, but nothing crazy. Ryan Ingles, our superintendent, does such a great job, and he's always got a good plan. And slowly, everything gets a little better and a little better until it's Friday of the Am, and then it's just perfect.
How did the course come out of the winter?
Really well.
Did it?
Really well.
I played a lot, not just around the area, but around the Midwest, and a lot of courses took a beating after the winter, it looked like.
Yeah. We had a few spots on a couple fairways that are a little beat up, but tees, greens, and 90% of the playing surfaces are, I can't say perfect, but as close to perfect as you can get. Yeah, they're really good.
That's good to hear. Of course, we're now in the heart of the golf season as we get towards the later part of June. Chris Howell joining us, the head golf pro at Moorhead Country Club, getting ready for the Bell Bank Red River Amateur Championship, which is 11 days away. We will have coverage of all 3 days on WDAY Extra. You got time? Can you stick around for a little bit longer?
Time.
I got plenty more golf things I want to pick your brain on. Let's take a break. When we come back, more with Chris. On the other side, Hot Mic continues after this on this Tuesday morning. Welcome back on this Tuesday morning edition of Hot Mic. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo. Happy to be joined by our guy Chris Howell, the golf pro, head golf pro over at Moorhead Country Club. Just chatting about some various topics during the break, getting excited for this Bell Bank Red River Am, 11 days away, the 26th through the 28th, and we will have all 3 days live on WDAY Extra. Pretty much watch it wall to wall on WDAY Extra, and you can watch it back afterwards as well, which I think is a pretty unique deal. Tell me this. Okay, Ryland Petrie sinks his winning putt last year. How quickly does the planning process for this year start?
We take a pretty big breather.
As you should,
But, God, I got to remember, I think we usually have a committee meeting either the week after or the following week just to, discuss what went well, what didn't go well, where we can improve. And then it's kind of slowly started by then, right? We want to get dates on the calendar relatively quick. But, the heavy lift when we really start pushing is September, October.
Okay.
We start putting things together, really get it in place, really start getting after people. I feel like it's gotten earlier in the year.
It's like college football. It just continues to go up a week.
As the growth of it. So I would guess the planning process will early September probably this year.
Okay. Well, it's been in the works. Really excited for this championship coming up next week. We'll have a cast of thousands essentially out there helping broadcast this deal. I believe you said a month ago one thing you were looking for on the women's side was potentially lengthening the course. Has that been discussed at all?
To an extent. So on Sunday we'll play it. We'll play it probably 6,000 yards or so. On Friday, Saturday we like it to be a little shorter. Give the ladies a chance to shoot a good number.
Yep.
Because it's hard. Our golf course is hard.
Yeah.
So we want to be really fair Friday, Saturday, and then we'll try to find out who the best is on Sunday.
For those that haven't played over at your club or haven't watched this tournament yet, how would you describe your golf course?
Well, so it's parkland, but it's for the level of play we have, I would say we're on the shorter side, right? We're 6,650 yards or something from all the way back in a typical college event. They're probably playing 7,000 to 7,400 yards. But we're narrow, we're tight, right? So it's really easy to hit it out of bounds in a penalty area, in an opposite fairway with a loose swing. So, you have to be really precise. It's all about precision and distance control on our golf course, or you're making bogey or worse really quick if you're not in the right area.
You and I were talking in the break. There's not a lot of trees in this part of the world, but there's trees on the Moorhead Country Club.
They're all at Moorhead Country Club, I think. Yeah,
it makes for a different challenge that these guys maybe are not used to playing every single day on some of their other home courses up in this area. So it's definitely presents a challenge. Again, looking forward to this tournament coming up. For those that want to come and watch, is there anything they should know before making their way over?
Yeah, the biggest thing is with the growth of it, we've actually decided to make our club parking lot strictly for the players, right? Because parking kind of gets crazy. We've been lucky that the Beehive Memory Care Facility that's right next door has a big open grass field.
Yep.
That's where we're going to have all spectators park, and then we'll shuttle you to and from the golf course to try to make sure that things go as well as they can for players. So that would be the biggest thing for spectators. We're trying to keep you in a place where we are serving our players better.
Right.
And then also trying to make sure we manage it where they're safe, right? They're not just walking out onto hole 2 and getting domed by a golf ball coming off the tee.
Right, exactly. And I don't want to get you in trouble. There's a shuttle, it's not like it's the longest walk in the world, right?
We'll be running 6 passenger golf course.
So there you go.
Back and
For those that maybe don't want to walk, the full length, have that option there as well. I can't let you go unless we talk about some other topics in golf. We got the U.S. Open coming up this week. I've yet to touch on it yet, but it is being played at Shinnecock Hills, which is, some would say, a controversial course for this tournament.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. It caused mayhem the last time it was there, however many odd years ago it was. I think my favorite memory is Phil Mickelson with his putt and then racing to hit it again before it stops moving. That's what that course provides.
That one was a couple times ago, though,
was it? Okay, that
one was a while ago.
Yeah. Koepka's had success there. What are your thoughts on the U.S. Open coming up this week?
It's going to be fantastic. Again, though, like you said, the last 2 times I think Shinnecock had it, they've kind of let the greens get away from them a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I've gathered.
But it's a fantastic venue. It's a big venue, and it seems to always the best player wins, right? It's not somebody sneaking in and just getting lucky. It seems to always find the best player, but it's a big challenging golf course.
Right. If I'm not mistaken, I think just doing a brief read up on stuff heading into the week, they may have widened some fairways or whatever. They're watering the greens now, which maybe they didn't do in years past. I'm always curious to get golfers' thoughts on this. Do you like a tournament where they can really beat up on professional golfers?
I think it's great.
Like once a year.
I think it's great. I kind of wish it happened more than once a year.
Yeah, I'm on your boat.
But yeah, I think it's fantastic that they really challenge these guys. They make them hit every golf shot. It feels like there's times some of these, off tournaments when they're shooting 24, 25, 26 under par for the week, that it's pretty mundane and easy for these guys. Not that it is. It's just they're that good that they make these other golf courses look so easy, right? They shoot 65 4 straight times. But now we get to see them hit it in the rough and get frustrated. 3-putt a green, maybe 4-putt a green. Chip it and it rolls back down to their feet. It's just stuff we don't get to see week to week in the PGA Tour, and it's awesome.
I think he gives I'm a bad golfer in comparison to these guys, obviously, but to see them do stuff that I would do, on a course, I think is great. Now, granted, they're playing the most difficult golf course in the country, absolutely, but it's pretty neat to see them, get a taste of our medicine, essentially.
It's great.
I think it's interesting. Do you have a pick that may come out as champion here? Scotty Scheffler's going for the Grand Slam, which I was not aware of until earlier this week.
I knew that. I want to say, I can't remember off the top of my head. I thought Justin Thomas and both Tommy Fleetwood played really well last time it was there. I'm a Tommy Fleetwood guy. Maybe this is when he finally breaks through.
You think this is the one?
I would love to see Tommy Fleetwood win, but
He's been on a tear lately, given last season into this year.
But how do you pick against Scotty and Rory?
Right.
How do you pick somebody else?
That's a very good point. I think the only reason to potentially maybe stay away from Scotty is because a recent tournament that he had a little bit of a blow up there with his caddy. So I haven't followed up on that a little bit. We've been busy with other stuff going on, but maybe that plays a hindrance, but who knows? It's going to be a great tournament. Outside of what you guys have going on with the Bell Bank Red River Am next week, what's coming up long term for Moorhead Country Club that we should be on the lookout for?
So our 19th hole bar area, after halfway house type thing, we're just fully renovating it. Hopefully it's open this Friday.
Knock on wood, yeah.
It'll definitely be open for the Red River Am, but we're excited to see the finishing touches going on that right now. And then we're always just trying to look long term on how we can make our facilities and playing areas better for our members. Don't know exactly what that entails yet, but we're we're constantly trying to figure out how to make everything a little bit better.
Awesome. Love the course over there. Love what you guys are doing with the tournament. I look forward personally to being a part of the broadcast here for a second year now and just seeing all the great golf that's going to happen over the next couple of days. I appreciate your time.
Yeah,
I'll let you get back to it. I know you're busy, so we'll see you next week. I'm sure this isn't the last time you'll be on TV this month. So
I doubt it.
just be ready for that.
All right.
All right, Chris Goose Howell joining us on this Tuesday morning edition of Hot Mike, talking about the Bell Bank Red River Amateur Championship. We're due for a break. Let's step aside. When we come back, it is the much-anticipated return of Logan Campbell, talking some NHL Stanley Cup playoffs after she just got done covering the Carolina Hurricanes and their title-winning performance over the weekend. So we'll get to her when we come back on Hot Mike.
You know what? It's not my fault you're like in love with me or something. What?
Oh, no, she did not. I hear her hair's insured for $10,000.
And we need someone there that knows what they're doing, obviously.
Well, we haven't seen that intro in quite some time. It is now time for the much-anticipated return of our old friend Logan Campbell, who is the lead sports anchor at WFMY in Greensboro, North Carolina. She is joining us fresh off of a trip from Vegas covering the Carolina Hurricanes in the deciding Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals. So a lot to chat about with Logan. First of all, it's great to see you. I talk to you every single day, but I haven't seen you in like what feels like a year. So I know how you've been, but for your fans that are still here in North Dakota, which is still a plenty, give us an update on how life has been.
Hi, thanks so much for having me on. It's so good to be back and to see you, I guess. Like you said, we've talked every single day since I've left, which I'm so thankful for, to be in touch with you and Rachel and Sherwin literally every single day. But so happy to be back. Hi, everyone in North Dakota. Miss you guys. It's funny, actually, I had a few people message me ahead of Game 6 saying that they were there in Vegas to watch Jackson and Blake. Obviously, that's the North Dakota crowd that was down there. But yeah, things have been really good. We've been doing a lot here in North Carolina, very busy, trying to cover everything and everything that's happening around here. But things have been really, really good. But I do miss it back in North Dakota, especially all the people there. Like nobody compares to the Midwest people in North Dakota.
Well, we all miss you, that's for sure. But you are doing some pretty cool things, and that's why I wanted to have you on today. I want to talk about the Carolina Hurricanes and the series and this game last Sunday. But first, just tell me about your experience of going to Vegas and covering this Game 6 and getting the opportunity to be there. Stanley Cup is there. It's awarded to the team that you're covering. You're on the ice. What was that experience like for you?
Sam, that was like a once in a lifetime opportunity. That is the best moment of my career so far. Never in a million years did I ever think, one, I'd be covering hockey, just because I didn't grow up really watching hockey. So that was a newer sport for me when I came to North Dakota. But two, holy crap, that team was just so fun to cover. Yeah. And that moment was just incredible. And for those of you that don't know, well, and I'm sure a lot of you do know, it is a grind covering the Stanley Cup final, even just throughout the entire playoffs. So we go straight from March Madness. We had a week off, and thankfully we had a week off, because if Duke didn't lose to UConn in that buzzer beater, we would have gone straight from Final Four straight into the Stanley Cup playoffs. But so we had a week off, and then we start with that series against Ottawa. And that feels like a whole year ago. Like that feels like a totally different season from when the playoffs started. But literally, we're with the team every single day. Like on their off days, we're going to practices, we're going to pregame talks, we're going to off day chats with Rod Brindamore. So we were traveling to Raleigh literally every single day for the last 2 months. So it has been a grind. I've gotten like minimal sleep over the last 2 months, especially this last week. Like that was crazy. I was surprised that we went to Vegas. My boss was like, no ifs, ands, or buts. We're going to Game 6. Like they could clinch. We're going to go. I was like, okay, sign me up.
Don't need to tell me twice. Yeah.
Don't need to tell me twice. So literally, she gave us the go ahead that day, which was Friday. We bought tickets and a place to stay in Vegas. We were on a flight to Vegas at 6 a.m. the next day, landed at noon Vegas time, which is 3 this time. We had to be live at 5 for our newscast. So it was just go, 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 no sleep. And then when the game happened, I weirdly felt like very calm. Before every other game, I was like, oh gosh, like I don't know what's going to happen. But I think ever since game 3, they're all getting like mixed up. When they were down 4-0 and then they came back, or 3-0, they came back and tied it. We kind of knew in that moment, even though they did lose that game, the Carolina Hurricanes, we knew that they were going to win the whole entire thing. Just the 3 goals.
Oh, you did, huh?
Yeah, they just felt like
confident.
Well, throughout the playoffs, like, yes, they were extremely good throughout the playoffs, and everyone's like, oh, they had the easiest path. I mean, really the only easy they had was the Flyers. Like, Ottawa was one of the best teams coming into it. Even the Flyers were the better team towards the last half of the regular season for the NHL. But they kept saying, you know, we have this other level we need to unlock. We have this other level we need to unlock. And we were just waiting for that moment to happen. And I think when they scored those 3 goals in, 36 seconds?
Yeah, that
new level was unlocked.
Yep, that was game 2 and game 3 both went into overtime. Game 3 went into double overtime in that crazy 5-4 decision that the Knights won that game, if I remember correctly. A wild series all around. I was talking about this yesterday. I'm surprised almost a little bit of the outcome that it went to 6 games, just because I thought the Canes were going to steamroll Vegas. I didn't think Vegas was going to get past Colorado in the round before. I thought we were going to get a Carolina-Colorado finals, which would have, fed families. But instead, give props to Vegas. They played really well, except for the game on Sunday. It just seemed like they didn't show up, and Carolina made him pay for it. Did you get that sense in the stadium?
Yes. It was so funny because that was the most boring game out of the whole entire series.
Yeah, right.
Literally all the other ones, it was so back and forth. We were on the edge of the seats. I felt like I could barely breathe because there was so much just happening. It was goal after goal after goal. This one, like I said, I felt calm, and you could just tell the Canes just felt so chill coming into this game. When we were talking with them beforehand and talking with Rod beforehand, yes, they're game 6 is the hardest one to win, but like I said, they just unlocked that new level, so everyone just felt a little bit calm. But even in the stadium, I'll give props to Vegas. That was my first game there.
Yeah.
The pre-game show that they do.
I was going to ask about that. Yeah, I was getting a headache just watching it on TV.
Yeah, no, it was a crazy production. I've never seen anything like that. It was really, really cool, and the music is so loud, and the lasers and the light shows they have. But that was the most exciting part of the game, not to dog on Vegas fans, but the atmosphere throughout the game wasn't great. But I mean, how can it be great if your players aren't playing that well?
Right.
But the Canes fans that showed up, I was so shocked. We talked with Tom Dunnan, who's the owner for the Canes, after, and he even said he could not believe the amount of Canes fans that were there. So before the game even started, there were so many loud "Let's Go Canes" chants throughout T-Mobile Arena. So that was really cool just to see all the Canes fans there. And then towards the third period, it just kind of felt like a home game for Carolina.
Yeah.
Just all the cheers that were happening. It was so quiet with Vegas fans. But once the Canes got that second goal from Jackson Blake, I knew. I was okay, once I get that second one, it's done. It's over. That third one from Nikolai Ehlers was just the extra insurance. Obviously, that was an empty netter, so you kind of knew the game was over at that point anyways. But the scene after the game, I was doing a live shot on my phone. So this is it was just me and a photog, but now we have this app on our phone where we can go live on our phone. So I went up on the concourse to do my live shot, and I had all these Canes fans surrounding me. There was 30 of them in my one live shot at literally as soon as the game ended, we had to go live. It was just such a scene. It was so cool. It was so fun, and just seeing Jordan Stahl lift the cup up. I think that's what's playing right now, and Rod
perfect timing. Look at you. Wow.
I could just tell what was playing on the TV. No, just kidding. But seeing Jordan Stahl do that 20 years after his brother Eric did it, and seeing Rod Brindamore do it as a coach, I literally got the chills, and people in the back were tearing up just because, we go through it with the team, obviously not as much as the team does, but it's just really cool to see these players and this team get rewarded.
You mentioned some of those players. I want to talk about, which is probably one of the biggest stories to come out of this playoffs for the Carolina Hurricanes, and that's their goaltender in Brandon Bussey. What was it like covering that, and what can you tell us about that story? Because for those that maybe didn't follow Carolina long and now see him just blow up in the playoffs, it seems like he kind of came out of nowhere and was the hero in all of this.
Well, it's so funny because towards the end of Freddie Anderson had a horrible regular season, like just point blank. He did not play well during the regular season. Brandon Bussey through the second half was amazing. So I'll just go back to the beginning of the playoffs. When they said Freddie Anderson was going to start, everyone was like, wait, what are we doing? Freddie comes out first, two series, just unbelievable, only letting in, I think, like 2 or 3 goals the entire first 2 series or something crazy low, just playing like the best of his career. And then in the series against Vegas, he started letting a lot of goals in, and we kind of knew something was up, but wasn't entirely sure what was happening. So I think it was game 3, Freddie ended up getting pulled. Brandon Bussey came in, and that just also, like, that minor change just changed the whole trajectory of the Canes. That's when they did come back. Freddie didn't let only that 1 goal in double overtime was the only goal that he let in during that game. But so seeing him come in there, that just gave the Canes some new life. And we're like, okay, this guy's got something going on. I'll admit, I got so nervous watching him play because he's so jumpy and he's so aggressive in his style of play. Like he'd be diving like back towards like the backboard. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you're so far out of the crease. Like, but obviously it works. And 22 undrafted free agent, the only undrafted free agent to start in a Stanley Cup final game and to go on and win the whole entire thing. And I think on Sunday there was like 20 shots on goal and he didn't let a single one in. It was so cool to see. And his wife or fiance, Mary, has become like the biggest wag out of everyone. Like she is like, for like the Knicks, Jordan Woods, it was like she has that special bag. For Mary, it was like she has like the special belt. Like if she wore her black belt, they'd win every time. It's just really cool to see these people who Brandon Bussey was not a household name. I think if only you're a true Canes fan, you knew who he was. But seeing him come in, the love and the respect that he immediately got from the Carolina fans, especially game 5, like anytime he made the save, like Bussey chants would be going all across the stadium. They had like a very specific song that they would play for him too. It was so cool to see and such a good feel-good story.
Absolutely. One of the best stories out of the playoffs this season. What's the aftermath now? Is the parade today? Is that later on in the week? Is the place buzzing like New York was after the Knicks? How would you describe times in Carolina?
So Raleigh was crazy. It didn't burn to the ground because we're respectful people. I'm just kidding. But Raleigh was crazy. I actually have family that live in Raleigh, and they were texting and sending videos all throughout the night. Literally, my cousin, who's 22 years old, was like crying at the bar. It was like a crazy scene, just seeing what it was like. The Canes got back yesterday. They went to the bar. It's called Teats downtown Raleigh. It was so full. Raleigh looked like they just won the cup again last night. Parade though is Saturday, which I'm a little bit surprised.
It's pretty delayed.
So long, but I guess it's nice because people won't be working, so you already know it's gonna be crazy in downtown Raleigh. So we're trying to figure out our plans for how we're gonna cover all of that. But I'm sure it's gonna be a party in downtown Raleigh every single day up until then, and then the players will get to go home and get their time with the cup alone. A lot of the players are actually getting married, like in July and August.
Really?
Cup will make appearances at their weddings and all that kind of stuff.
It's a big off-season coming up for the group. Again, Logan Campbell, the lead sports anchor at WFMY in Greensboro, North Carolina, joining us. Former Bison sideline reporter here at WDAY, fresh off of a fun week or month or however long it was covering the Carolina Hurricanes in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I got a couple more for you before we let you go, and fairly rapid fire because we're running out of time. We are going to Vegas in about a month for the Mountain West Media Days. I've never been to Vegas. Kolpak yesterday told me the last time he was there was like the 60s or something. I couldn't remember. Do you have tips for us that are going to go to Vegas and Bison fans that are going to go later on in the year when North Dakota State plays UNLV? Do you have any tips after your recent trip?
My biggest tip was make your reservations for dinner now, because if you don't, you're not going to be eating anywhere. So make your reservations now. I'll be honest, I didn't really leave the hotel or arena that much, but if you're looking for a place to go out to, Omnia nightclub, we went after the game. So fun. Highly recommend that. I went to Din Tai Fung, which is like this chain restaurant, but you guys got to go there. Thanks for your recommendations,
I love
Sam.
that place.
I love that place too.
Went to the one in New York. It's fantastic, and I'm glad you finally got a chance to experience that.
Me too. So make your reservations at Din Tai Fung. What do you call them? The rice pillows? The chicken rice pillows?
Well, the rice cakes are what they are. I call them pillows because they have the texture of a pillow. But so that's going to be high on my list when we come there in a month later in the season. Quickly again, put your Bison cap on. Thoughts on North Dakota State going to the Mountain West? What crosses your mind when you were hearing that news?
Love it. It's about time. I was so excited when I heard that they're finally making that jump. Not to compare them to JMU because I know they're totally different programs, but we saw JMU make some noise really early on, made the first appearance in the college football playoffs. Wouldn't be surprised if that happened maybe a little bit sooner for North Dakota State, just with the caliber of play and coaches that they have. So I think they're going to make some noise this year. For sure, top half of the Mountain West, if not top three. So I'm very excited to see what they can do at the FBS level. I know the fans have been waiting for this, and I think that's the perfect conference for NDSU.
Right, you heard it here first. Let's put that in the headlines for today. Logan Campbell predicts top 5 or top 3 of the Mountain West this upcoming season for North Dakota State football. It's great to see you. Thanks for taking some time. I know it's a busy schedule for you, especially coming off of a long weekend out in Vegas. Thanks for coming around, and hopefully we don't wait another year to see each other again. So let's plan on that.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on. Well, I'll see you in a couple weeks in August.
Yeah, that's true. We got a vacation planned. I forgot about that. I got to buy a plane ticket for that. That's for a whole different show. Logan, I appreciate it. We'll cut you loose. I know you got to work today. Logan Campbell from WFMY in Greensboro, North Carolina, joining us here this morning. Always great to catch up with her, get her thoughts on the Canes series and their win in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and some other thoughts as well. Never know where it's going to go with Logan, but always a good time. All right, we're due for another break. We only got a couple of minutes left to go on this packed Tuesday morning. When we come back, we'll get into our what to watch for tonight, and we'll get out of the door. That's coming up next. All right, wrapping up this loaded Tuesday morning. Appreciate you for joining us on another edition of Hot Mike. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo throughout the rest of the week. He's got some much-deserved time off. A lot happening today, that's for sure. Wrapping things up here in just a little bit. Earlier this morning, we posted on our X account, open-ended question, what are your thoughts on the end of the Brendan Sorsby case? One of the responses that we got to that, I wonder if it was his decision alone, or did Texas Tech make the decision for him with all the backlash the program is getting? I was curious about that too, because as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, it came down at 8 o'clock yesterday, that last night, that he said he was going to apply for the supplemental draft. I'm very curious if it was Texas Tech coming to him and saying, hey, this isn't looking too good in our favor, and if you want to back out, now's the time to do it, or if he just said, you know what, enough's enough, I'm done with this, I'm going to go pro. I'm also curious on that, and I don't know if we'll find the answer to that. Maybe one day, but who knows. Tomorrow we may have more on this, or at some point later on the week. I don't want to spoil too much, and there's still a lot more moving parts behind the scenes here, but we could have a pretty exciting show tomorrow, so be tuned into our socials for an update on that. With that being said, let's get into our what to watch and get out the door for today. So I was pretty spot on yesterday with that Spain-Cape Verde game in the World Cup. That ended up being a pretty exciting one to watch. We got another one late tonight, our nightcap, Argentina and Algeria, 8 o'clock on Fox. Again, I don't know anything about the World Cup, but I think Argentina's pretty good, right? They got some guys, and I couldn't name one, but that could be a good game. That's a World Cup game. They got plenty others going on today as well. Twins are playing tonight as well, 7:05 on Twins TV. It's their second game against the Rangers after their 4-2 win yesterday. We will have Corey Provis on Friday, talk about this series and some other Twins-related news coming up at the end of the week, so looking forward to that conversation. And then also coming up in a couple hours this afternoon, College World Series continues, and it is a rematch between West Virginia and Troy, 1 o'clock, first pitch on ESPN. These two teams played to open up the College World Series. I tuned into that one. It was phenomenal, so I'm hoping the sequel is even better than the first edition. So we will have to see some elimination games happening today as well. College World Series has been exciting. At some point this week, get you a full update on what's been going on there. Jake Schaffner and UNC North Carolina have been playing really well. So at some point this week, we keep running into a lot of other stuff to talk about, but we'll get you a College World Series update for sure. Georgia and Texas also play today at 7 o'clock. That's also an elimination game. So both games today are elimination games. The loser is heading on out of Omaha. And we'll continue on throughout the rest of the week with this tournament. Big thanks once again to Mike McFeely and for our guy Goose, Chris Howell, for joining us, and to Logan Campbell for joining us this morning as well. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Should be an exciting show. Be sure to stick around for that. I think we're going to get some pretty good guests on the show tomorrow. With that being said, have a great rest of your Tuesday. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the weather while it's still nice. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.